Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have chosen some of those messengers above others, and Allah spoke directly to some and raised some high in rank. To Jesus, son of Mary, we gave clear proofs and supported him with the Holy Spirit, with Sayyidina Jibreel. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have chosen some over others, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created creation, and some creation is above other creation, right? So there's all sorts of things of creation, and there's believers and there's disbelievers. And of the believers, there are people who are awliya, who are close to Allah, and the people who are siddiqeen, who are very, very close to Allah. And then there's anbiya, and then there's mursaleen, and then there's Sayyid al-Mursaleen, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So it's a belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the greatest thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever created. This is part of our aqidah. So, people sometimes they get a bit sensitive. They're like, why are you praising the Prophet ﷺ? Why are you worshipping the Prophet ﷺ? Nobody worships the Prophet ﷺ because we know the Prophet ﷺ is makhluk. He's created. So why would you why would you worship something that once never existed? The Prophet ﷺ, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The Prophet ﷺ cannot do anything without Allah's will. So why would you worship the Prophet ﷺ? So praising the Prophet ﷺ is one thing. Worshipping the Prophet ﷺ is something else. They're two different things, right? And so, as one of the poets, he said, فَإِنَّ فَضْلَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ لَيْسَ لَهُ حَدٌّ فَيُعْرِبَ عَنْهُ نَاطِقٌ بِفَمِهِ. He says the merit of the Prophet ﷺ, how great the Prophet ﷺ is, it doesn't have a limit. So nobody could express it with their tongue. So if somebody said this and said he wrote 10 volumes about the Prophet ﷺ, you don't really understand who the Prophet ﷺ is. He's still greater than that. But that doesn't make him Allah. That doesn't make him Allah, right? And some people, obviously, some ignorant people, they do things that they shouldn't do. I remember I was in Medina, and there was somebody with their back to the Qibla and facing the grave of the Prophet ﷺ doing sujood, right? So obviously, they're either ignorant or they're a kafir, right? One of the two, right? And so some people, they don't understand, right? But we understand this is khaliq and makhluk. They're two different worlds, right? It's a very simple thing. So some people, they don't understand these distinctions, and they say kind of strange things. But it's obvious to most people, inshallah. If Allah had willed, succeeding generations would not have fought among themselves. After this is subhanAllah exactly the tawfiq. We just read exactly what Sheikh Imad just recited right now. Right, we just recite this exactly what he recited right now. He said, if Allah had willed, succeeding generations would not have fought each other. Why is there so much conflict in the world? Why do people disagree? Allah willed that. Allah willed that. Allah made that happen. Why, oh Allah? To test each other. That's how it works, right? The whole universe, in principle, works on the concept of difference, of ikhtilaf. If there was matter was spread out in a equal way throughout the whole universe, where would things gravitate towards? Right? We only sticking to the ground right now because there's more mass beneath us than here. So if there wasn't more mass beneath us, we wouldn't stick to the ground. There wouldn't be any gravity. If it wasn't hot here and cold here, there would be no wind, and then the rain wouldn't move, and then this wouldn't happen. And this is all based on difference. If there wasn't male and female, rich and poor, strong and weak, then there wouldn't be anything, and the world wouldn't work. That's the nature of the nature of the universe is ikhtilaf, is difference. Either ikhtilaf in hissan, in physical things, or emotionally, politically, everything. It's how things are, right? So yes, we should strive in the world for unity. Yes, we should strive in the world among Muslims for unity, but that's not the nature of how things are. That's just not the nature of how things are. If Allah had willed, succeeding generations would not have fought among themselves after receiving the clear proofs, but they differed. Some believed while others disbelieved. Yet if Allah had willed, they would have not fought one another, but Allah does whatever He wills. O believers, donate from what we have provided for you before the arrival of a day when there is no bargaining, no friendship or intercession, and those who disbelieve are the wrongdoers. So spend of your money. So, many people, the way that they function with money is wrong. The way that they look at money is wrong. Either they are doing what's called tawakkul. Tawakkul is not being responsible with their money. Money comes in, you have bills to pay, you don't pay them. You're not working hard enough, right? I saw that, for example, and I'm not criticizing them, but yeah, saw that, for example, in the Middle East. In the Middle East, there are many places where there isn't a lot of opportunities. People are lazy because they give up, right? If there's no work, why would I bother? If you're going to give me $50 to work for 4 weeks, I'm going to work for a whole month. You're going to give me $50. I'm not going to bother working, right? That's the wrong mentality. The mentality of the believer is they should be hardworking, right? That you work a 90-hour week until you can pay for the bills you need to pay. That's the nature of the believer, is hardworking. That is what has built the West, hard work, right? In English culture, it is considered rude to ask for money or to borrow money because English culture for the last 250 years has been built on the hard work, right? Which is wrong. That's not how it should be. It should be generous, but it's a part of English culture that and many places, Scandinavia, same kind of thing. Like asking for help is wrong because you're supposed to work really hard. Everybody is supposed to work really hard. So when you have people who don't work hard, they wake up late in the morning, these kind of things that we see often in the Middle East, maybe Central Asia as well. This is not Islamic, right? So people are either one extreme, either they can't be bothered, right? They don't work hard and they don't have any money and they're like, oh Allah, please help me. And they ask for sadaqah, etc. That's wrong, right? That's a wrong thing to do. Every single person, the Prophet ﷺ said about Sayyidina Dawood. Sayyidina Dawood used to eat from the sweat of his brow. He used to work hard. And we were talking about that the other day. Oh, this king is wealthy. There's no reason why any Muslim ruler should ever be wealthy. The fact that he's wealthy is an indication of fasad, of corruption. Because there's no, like imagine, for example, you come to the masjid and inshallah, Imam Abu Bakr, for example, he's a millionaire or a trillionaire. But imagine he was not a trillionaire. He became the imam of the masjid, and then tomorrow you see every single day he has a new car. There's obviously a problem, right? So there's the same thing. That's the same thing. A Muslim ruler, there's no reason why he should have 90% shares of all the companies in the country, or he should have all this. There's no reason why that should happen, right? Unless he had that beforehand, right? He, mashallah, he was a wealthy person, and then he became the ruler. Okay, but there's no reason. So Sayyidina Dawood, he did not have luxurious money and all these kind of things. He used to work. And that's what he used to work, and he used to eat from his own food. So that's a noble thing to do. So the situation where you are in America, where nobody can afford to do that, unless you're very wealthy, you're not going to pay for your medical bills. You didn't pay for that $50,000 operation, right? You were given it as sadaqah from whom? By a kafir. So if you went back 200 years ago to Afghanistan and say there's a kafir who wants to give you sadaqah, you're like, it's okay, I don't need your sadaqah. You would have izzat nafs. I don't want that. Hey, I'm going to pay for the road in front of you. No, I'm going to pay for it myself. We'll fix it. Thank you very much. I'll pay for your kids' schooling. No, I'll pay for it. Don't take any tax from me, but I'll pay for every single thing in my life. That's the default with the believer. They have that, that's an attitude that we see still among Muslims. Like, hey, would you like some help? They're like, no, thank you. Are you hungry? Right? Go to Afghanistan, ask somebody, brother, are you hungry? He's not going to say, I'm hungry. He's asking for help. You say, are you hungry? On the microphone, I'm hungry. He's not going to say that because he has self-respect. So self-respect is an important thing, right? So some people, they are mutawakkilin, they don't work hard. They don't care. They want to have a free lunch and they just ask for sadaqah. And there are other people who work hard and they have lots of money, but they don't use it. So you have tons of money and they don't use it, right? And so, like one of my teachers, he said, there was this person, he gave something like 4 million or 40 million in zakat, right? So imagine his zakat, he gave 40 million. So you'd imagine if he gave 40 million in zakat, and that's 1/40th, that means he has 100, he has like 1.6 billion. He has $1.6 billion, right? And the sheikh said that wasn't actually all the zakat he has to give. He has to give more, right? So he's a billionaire and he gave a small amount. It's like, brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to forgive you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to help you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you financially stable so you can spend your money to save your neck on Judgment Day. And they don't do it, right? So Allah's being kind to you. Allah gave you money. If that's halal money, if it's not halal money, it's not your money anyway. Like there's no point. You don't get ajr, obviously, for giving haram money away, right? So many people have haram money, may Allah protect us. But so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says donate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you income. Work hard and donate. Or if you don't have the donation, alhamdulillah, prioritize giving to other people. But many people, the way that they think is very funny. they'll say things like, "Oh, I can't afford that." What do you mean you can't afford it? Oh, because I have my monthly. I need to pay for my house and pay for my monthly savings and pay for this, pay for this, pay for. You mean your monthly savings? Yeah. Or you mean you have monthly savings? So yeah. So that means you can afford it, right? So many people they'll talk like that. This person say, again, I have Afghan relatives. They're like, "Oh, this person in Afghanistan needs money." What do you mean they need money? They have 5 houses in Afghanistan, but they're poor because they don't have an income, but because they don't want to sell the house, right? So you're not expected to sell your house, but you have 5 houses, right? And so they say, "I'm poor," because that's how they look at it, right? Poor is you don't have money. That's what it means, right? And so, we shouldn't live off sadaqah, and we should all strive to have our own incomes. And when you have income, you say, "This is what I'm paying for X, Y, and Z," and that's it. And be clever. Don't be ridiculous with your money. But many people have money, right? Many people, again, like we have a house. You don't need a house like that. You don't need a house like that. You don't need a car like that. You don't need many things, right? And many people, they live a life that is unnecessary, right? They do things that are totally unnecessary. So every single time you buy something that's unnecessary, tell yourself, Allah gave you a chance. There's 2 cars you could have bought. $10,000 car is a good car, right? That's a good car. Why did you buy a $15,000 car? All you did is not haram, but you took that 5,000 that could have saved your neck on Judgment Day, and you said, "It's okay, I'll risk it." So you signed a document saying, I'm willing to risk going to hell on Judgment Day. Allah gave you an opportunity to save yourself. And you had an option, 10,000 or 15,000. MashaAllah, you bought a 50,000 car. So we have to understand that Allah gives opportunities. Every single skill, every single, you have money, you have intelligence, you have a physical ability. These are all opportunities. Don't blow them, right? You have an opportunity, don't blow it. Don't waste it, right? Money is an opportunity to do good. Use it, right? But don't do it in a silly way. "Oh, I spent all my money, I now have no money." That's not how we should do things. And this is Ayatul Kursi. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum. This is Ayatul Kursi now. So it says, Allah, there is no God worthy of worship except Him, the ever-living, the all-sustaining. Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes Him. To Him belongs whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is on earth. So it should say, Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma, means to Him alone. So we don't own anything, you don't own anything, nobody owns anything, right? So people, for example, they have this sense like, "He took my money." He didn't take your money because you don't have any money. Or why should I spend on you? It's my money. I don't own anything, you don't own anything. This is a game. We're just playing Monopoly. We're just playing Monopoly. And right now you're winning right now. So, and it's not even, you didn't even win it. Imagine if every 2 minutes your dad or mom came in and gave you some money and took some money away from so-and-so. So it's not even, you didn't even earn it. At least in Monopoly, you rolled the dice and you made some money, right? You didn't even, it's not your money. So nobody owns anything. That's what it means. Lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Allah owns everything and nobody else owns anything. So while we're playing this game, I have control over this money, you have control over this money, and then Judgment Day is all going to go back to Allah, right? So there's a key thing to understand. People see themselves as mini gods. Like, I own property, I own a house, this is mine, don't take it from me, right? But it's not yours. Exactly, yeah, it's not his, right? So that's exactly, we're just Allah's slaves, right? You're just Allah's slaves. It's like you're like the guy who's cleaning the car here, you're cleaning a nice car. So I'm cleaning the car, not you. So that means it's my car. In 2 minutes, the guy's going to come and pick up the car and take it. That's it, right? So we don't own things. Allah's giving us control of things to see what you're going to do with it. That's all. Allah gave you control of something to see what you're going to do with it. That's all. You don't own your health. Allah gave you your health to see what you're going to do with it. It's going to go soon. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. Our health, or every single one of us are going to get sick and die. There's no exception, right? So this is so Allahu ma fis samawati, every single thing in the universe belongs to Allah and doesn't belong to anybody else. Who could possibly intercede? Intercede means I'm going to object to Allah. Oh Allah, I want you to change something. Oh Allah, I want you to forgive somebody. Oh Allah, I want you to. It's Allah's hands, right? So this is part of the tawheed of Allah. Allah is the one who decides. Who could possibly who could possibly intercede with him without his permission? And so the Arabic is a bit different. The Arabic says, who is this person? Man dha alladhi means, so man means who, right? So it's not asking who. Man dha means who is this person, right? So imagine, for example, I mean, people have been saying that there's a guy who's going to beat me up. Okay, and I heard so-and-so is going to beat me up and so-and-so is threatening me. So I say, who's this guy who's threatening me? Who's this guy that's threatening me, right? So imagine in people's heads, oh yeah, on Judgment Day, Jesus is going to stand up and say, God, you can't do that. Or maybe so-and-so is going to do that. Or maybe this God or that God or these false gods, who's going to stand up and like, God, stop, I object. So in your mind, you have this person. So Allah says, who's this person you're talking about? Who's this person you're talking about? There's nobody. He doesn't exist, right? So he's referring to a person that's in your head. So who is this person that's going to do it? Man there, who is this person, right? Who is this person who's going to say to Allah, no, nobody? So if Allah says yes, who's going to say no? And if Allah says no, who's going to say yes? He doesn't exist, right? So therefore, so this is a key thing in people's minds. Life, there was a famous, I think, French philosopher, Sartre. He says, hell is other people. Like in life and in death, I don't know how he thought, but hell is other people. For most people, the difficulties in life come from other people. But in reality, where does that come from? It comes from the fact that we see power in people's hands. So this guard, for example, is slapping me in the face, making me lie, saying things about me, putting me in prison for 50 years for no reason. I come out every 10 years. The judge always agrees that I'm going to go for prison for another 10 years. And I feel, right, the word is maqhur, right? What's the word in Farsi? Say qahar. Yeah, so qahr means it's sad, right? Like you're sad and upset. Why? Because you feel that I'm maqhur. This person has qahr over me. Who has qahr? Allah. Allah is Al-Qahhar, He is the one who's forcing. So nobody can force you to do this or force you to do that. He's a slave, you're a slave. It's in Allah's hands. So the pain doesn't come from the oppression. The pain comes from your mentality in your head. The frustration, like, this guy, he's taken my money, he's taken my property, he's lying about me, he's done this. You feel oppressed. If you have tawheed, you don't feel oppressed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi, Allah takes and gives them. Allah decided I should be in prison. Allah decided the whole world should lie about me and claim I did crimes I didn't do, and Allah should, and all these oppressions. So no, I don't mind. I feel sad for the people, that's all. Right? So there was a famous sheikh who was in prison. And again, a lot of shuyukh, they get in trouble because they speak the truth, right? Or they have power, right? So the rulers, they don't like them. Why is this man? He's gonna, so they'll make up things about him and put him in prison. So this sheikh, people are like, oh my God, the sheikh's gonna be killed in 2 weeks. Da, 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 da. And the sheikh, he used to come out of prison every night. He used to walk out of the prison every night. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, karama, a miracle. So he's like, Allah is in control, by the way. like Allah is in control. If I die, I die. It's like, I know I can just walk out whenever I want. So this whole thing is like, frustration comes from lack of tawheed. If you have tawheed, there's no frustration, right? So it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Habibi, you were dead for most of your existence. Most of your existence, you're dead. So there's like you're dead, blip, alive, and then dead, right? Oh my God, I'm losing my money. Yeah, when you were born, you didn't have any money. I'm losing my mind. I feel like I don't know anything. Right? Like I find that sometimes reciting Quran is like, why can't I memorize this ayah? It's hard. Or why can't I can't forget it? Habibi, when you were a baby, what did you remember? Nothing. So you said, I can't remember, can't remember, and then up and then down. So your default is ajz. Your default is you can't do anything. The default is faqr, you don't have anything. The default is you can't do, you can't. So you're frustrated when Allah shows you that He can and you can't. You're frustrated with tawheed. Right? Who was frustrated with tawheed? Shaitan. So that's a shaitani gene that we have in ourselves. It's okay. Allah can do everything. So I'm going to do the best. I'm going to stop people doing bad things. And I'm going to do what I can. But I know that nobody can do anything to me. Nobody can stop me, do this. Nobody can do anything to me. It's just Allah. Right? And so this is a huge relief. Right? Huge relief. You have to understand that tawheed is huge relief. Imagine in the past, before Tawheed, before people know about Tawheed. You go to America, you go to Los Angeles, they're going to have the God of Los Angeles, and you have to go and worship this God. And if you didn't worship the God in the right way, he's going to curse you, and then you're going to have 10 years of bad luck. And then you go to the God of Kabul, and they have their own God, and the God of London. Everybody, there's all these different gods, and you have to please them, and they get angry with you, and they curse you. Like life is, you're between all these different powers. And then Tawheed is, no, there's one power. There's one person that needs to be happy with you. There's one person who can make you happy. There's one person who is the whole thing. You have debts, you have sicknesses, you have worries. And they're not even your responsibility. They're not your responsibility. They're Allah's. Abdullah means it's not my responsibility. Right? It's like a simulation. Level 2 and start the game. Setup is you have stage 3 cancer and you're in debt and everyone's lying against you. What are you going to do? Click, 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 end of level. It's not my responsibility. As soon as I turn it off, it's not there. Right? So, people, they get depressed because they see that they're responsible. They're not responsible for anything. They're just a slave of Allah. Allah's asking you do, and that's it. Do this and do this. It doesn't matter if you die in debt. It doesn't matter about this. It doesn't matter about that. It's not a problem. What's going to happen to the world? It's all going to sink to the ground anyway. Allah's told it the whole universe is going to go. What if my child dies? Your child is going to die anyway. Your child is going to die. So just when. So you don't be worried when they die. Worry about what are you doing while they're alive. Right? What are you doing about what? So worry about your actions. Don't worry about anything else. That's all you need to worry about. He fully knows what is ahead of them and what is behind them, and no one can grasp any of his knowledge except what he wills to reveal. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth. Right, so that's one explanation. So if you can imagine, this is the throne of Allah. Okay, this is called the Arsh. This is called the Kursi, where you put your feet. So Kursi today in Arabic means a chair, right? But this is a Kursi. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ, he said the universe compared to Allah's Kursi is like a ring thrown in the middle of a desert. Imagine we're flying over, flying over, I don't know which huge desert. There was that in Mongolia, the huge desert. I don't know what it's called. And you just drop a ring out. You say, go and find it. I'm not going to find it. Right. So it's a dot in a huge sea. And the Kursi is a dot in the huge sea of Allah's Arsh. Right? So when you say Hasbunallahu la ilaha alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say the argument that just happened between me and Mansour and the financial collapse and this and that. This is a dot in the universe, and the universe is a dot in Allah's Kursi, and the Kursi is a dot compared to the Arsh, and Allah is Rabbul Arshil Azim. So it's not a big deal, right? It's like I come home and like, guys, it's a big problem. What's happening? There's 2 ants that are fighting. Can you see the ants? I mean, yeah, with the yeah. But like, imagine, for example, in your back, and it happens. You have like a colony of ants here. They do fight, but you wouldn't notice it. You wouldn't notice it. So there's a nuclear, there's World War IV is about to start. Everybody start panicking. Okay, what happened to the galaxy? Nothing. Right? If Russia nukes America, America nukes Russia, what happens to the galaxy? Nothing. So we get scared about things that are very small. Right? Yesterday we were doing the verse, we ended, for example, on the issue of divorce. Read Surah Al-Talaq. How does it begin? Allah is the one who is created the 7 heavens. Because what happens in your life? I'm going to commit suicide. My wife just left me. I'm going to commit suicide. My husband just left me. Your wife or your husband is not the universe. What people say about you, what they don't say about you is not the universe. It's very, very, very small, right? Step out, look at the kids crying in the streets who are hungry. Your marriage and divorce is not a big deal. What she said or what he said is not a big deal. Look at what's happening in the whole, just fly over the Pacific. Right? Look how big the Pacific is on that map. You fly over it, like, and you fly from here to go to like China, you're flying over. It's like for hours and hours and hours and hours of just sea. 13 hours of sea. So the land is a small thing, and everything on the land is small, and the earth is a tiny drop in this thing. It's like if you took it out of the universe, nothing would happen. The moon would be a bit upset. That's about it. It's nothing. So we think of things as huge that are not big. It's not a big thing, right? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's like not a big thing. So this is a huge relief. Allah takes you from the sijn of the dunya to the Jannah of Tawheed. Like, oh, it's easy now, not a problem, right? Not a problem. There's bigger things that they exist, right? So this is so the smallest part. So what's the rhetoric? It's like, again, Muhammad Amin says, Sheikh Fidi, I could beat you up. We're like, bro, my pinky could beat you up. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the smallest part of his throne is bigger than the whole universe. So what about his throne? And what about him? Right? So you're like worried about this, worried about that, right? And is it easy can Allah look after things? وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا. So you're worried, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to do this? How am I going to? It's easy like this. Kun fayakun. It is no difficulty whatsoever for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to look after the whole universe, let alone the whole world, let alone you, right? And so this is an important thing. It's like, it's not a big deal, right? So don't worry, just do things and act as if you're going to die. So today I'm going to die and I have $50,000 in debt. And my wife has already left me and she's spreading rumors about me in some other state. And my kids are on drugs. Okay, fine. You're not responsible to guide your kids. You're responsible for trying. You're not responsible for paying off your debts. You're responsible for trying. You're not responsible to get people to believe you. You're responsible for doing what is having good akhlaq. You have good akhlaq and this person cheats on you. You have good akhlaq and this person lies about you. Okay, that's not your job. Why are you worrying about it? So this person now is going to commit suicide because of all these different things. Why? So you're going to die tomorrow morning. What would you do? Okay, just keep driving Uber. Inshallah, I'll die driving Uber because I'm going to pay my debts off as best as I can. Inshallah, this is like dying in sujood. Alhamdulillah. I don't have to fight on text messages and fight and try and all this problem. You don't have to do anything. Just say, this is what they don't believe you. They don't believe you. It's okay. You don't need to prove to anybody anything. You have one person to please, which is Allah. Right? And subhanAllah, even people say this to their kids, like, oh, my mom's going to do bad dua. It's like, is your mom Allah? Yes or no? She's right. So you did what is right, and she feels offended, and I'm not gonna bless your marriage. Allah, so not what Allah has given his power to your mom? That's what people think, even religious people, because they're like, respect your parents, respect your parents. Okay, here's a question. If the Kaaba didn't accept your prayers, but Allah did, would it be okay? Like, I don't worship the Kaaba. I don't know about you guys. I don't worship the Kaaba. Allah told me to do sujood towards the Kaaba. I don't worship the Kaaba. Similarly, we do respect towards our parents, but we don't respect our parents. Parents are just the Kaaba of respect. It's just a direction. So your parents, whether they accept you, my dad never accepted me. I memorized Quran and he still didn't accept me. I finished my PhD, he still didn't accept me. I feel really bad. Why? Because you're worshiping your dad. Don't worship your dad. If you are good towards your dad and your dad hates you, that's fine. If you're good towards your mother and your mother hates you and she says you're really bad and you did everything wrong and I won't bless your marriage or I won't bless you. She doesn't have the keys to blessing. Your mom, it's not like that. It means you are good to her. She hates you. What if your mother was a Catholic and she hates the fact that you're a Muslim? Can she hold back Allah's rahmah? So everybody thinks, oh, it's in this person's hand, that person's hand, and life gets very difficult. It's not. It's in Allah's hands. And this is the raha. This is the beauty and the ease and the comfort of Tawheed. You have one person to deal with. One person has strength. Okay. And then it says, La ikraha fi deen, let there be no compulsion in religion. So what's the story here? Is that some of the Arabs, I believe in Yathrib, in Medina, before Islam, they were pagans, they were worshipping idols, but they had given their sons to be raised by some Christians. Okay, because they often would send them away to be raised by other people in places where there's more grass, there's more water, etc. So when they became Muslim, they're like, oh my God, our kids are Christians, but they're adults now. And so we're going to force them to become Muslim. Right? Because we didn't know, we didn't care, and now I'm going to force them to become Muslim. Yeah, but they're an adult now. You can't do that. You cannot force an adult to become a Muslim. La ikraha fi din, right? And so this is a key thing to understand as well. The frustration of kids. How am I going to guide my kids? How am I going to guide my kids? You're not responsible to guide your kids. You're responsible for trying to guide your kids. I did this, I did this, I did this. They want to go straight, they want to go straight, that's fine. So you can't force, that's it, I'm gonna send my kids. This is a classic thing, right? In the past, they used to do the thing in Europe. Oh, my daughter's really bad, I'm gonna send her to a monastery to be with nuns. What's gonna happen in the monastery? Worse things are gonna happen in the monastery, right? I'm gonna send my kid to madrasa. That doesn't make him good, right? That's it, I'm gonna take my kids to Saudi Arabia. That's not gonna save them, right? So did you spend time with them? Did you give them a good environment? Were you involved in their lives? Did you ask them if they need help? I did A, B, and C. I did every single thing. Okay, it didn't work out. That's it. It's not your responsibility. Obviously, it hurts. You love them, of course, but it's not your job. So whoever renounces false gods and believes in Allah has certainly grasped the firmest, unfailing handhold, and Allah is all hearing and all knowing. Allah is the guardian of the believers. He brings them out of darkness into light. And it says out of the darknesses, plural. So life, there's lots of different things you can do in life. Someone's focusing on their health. Someone's focusing on their business. Someone's focusing on their kids. Someone's focusing on their marriage. Someone's focusing on their fame. All these different things they have in life. And there's one thing you need, which is Allah. So the darkness is plural to the one light. As for the disbelievers, their guardians are the false gods who lead them out of light into darkness. It is they who will be the residents of hell. They will be there forever. Are you, Prophet, not aware of the one who argued with Abraham about his Lord, because Allah had granted him kingship? Remember when Abraham said, my Lord is the one who has power to give life and cause death. And he argued, no, I too have power to give life and give death. So Abraham said, Allah causes the sun to rise from the east, so make it rise from the west. And so the disbeliever was dumbstruck, and Allah does not guide wrongdoing people. So many people, what happens is they are given some knowledge or given some power and then become proud, right? So for example, science is pretty amazing. You study science and now I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this. I can do all these things. But science is supposed to make you humble and not make you proud. Through science, you're supposed to see how much you don't know, not how much you do know. But many scientists, they're very proud and they have this arrogance, right? And they see simple things. So my brother, he said, what is it? They say, give me one miracle and I can explain the rest, right? Meaning, for example, here's the universe. I don't know where it came from, but I can explain physics and I can explain all these different things. Okay, explain where the universe came from. Nobody can explain that, right? Or in biology, right? You do biology, talking about the life, and they go to a doctor, they can talk for 20,000 years about the life and the body and digestive system and the blood and the platelets and where did life come from? We don't know. That's a huge scientific problem, right? So he's doing the same thing. Okay, create life. Now I can do AI, I can do this, I can do this. Okay, create life. It's very hard to do that. Right? We don't understand. Science does not understand. And science, by the way, intentionally, it's not a knowledge, it's a religion, it's a culture. So, my brother, for example, he's a scientist and he works with, math and things like that. He said there was a scientist being interviewed, right? And by a science magazine. And so they asked him, so they said, okay, we're going to talk about this and you're going to talk about this. And so he said, can I tell you about the other thing? He said, no, we are not allowed to talk about things that we don't know. So it's part of the culture is they always have to make sure that they sound like they know things. They don't tell you what they don't know. Because that would make them, the priests, not so amazing. They're like priests in reality. It's a religion. So the science, which is an objective thing, and scientism, which is a thinking idea that science can explain everything and we always know everything, which we don't, right? And are you not aware of the one who passed by a city which was in ruins? He said, how could Allah bring this back to life after its destruction? So Allah caused him to die for 100 years, then brought him back to life. And Allah asked, how long have you remained in this state? He said, I don't know, a day or two. And he said, no, you have remained here for 100 years. Just look at your food and drink. They have not been spoiled. But now look at the remains of your donkey. And so we have made you into a sign for humanity. And look at the bones of the donkey, how we will bring them together, then clothe them in flesh. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him this sign. But again, it's very difficult to see. How could this be done? It can be done. When this was made clear to him, he declared, now I know that Allah is capable of everything. Right? And so again, in medicine, Western medicine, they look at a human being as a machine. Right? And so the machine is quite complex, but it's a machine. So here's the question: why can't you bring people back to life again? Right? So my engine has a problem. Okay, fix the engine and start the engine again. The battery is dead. Okay, fix it, replace these things. But it's not like that. You can spend there for 50 years. That baby is dead. You won't be able to bring it back to life. The person is dead. You won't be able to bring it back to life. Oh, because this. Okay, replace those things. Replace those things and start the life again. It doesn't work. Right? So so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us by giving us some power, some knowledge. But it's part of our humble to say, yeah, what you can do, but what you can't do, what you do know, what you don't know. And you should be humble and worship Allah. And remember when Abraham said, my Lord, show me how you give life to the dead. Allah responded, do you not believe? Abraham said, yes, I do, but just so that my heart can be reassured. So Allah said, then bring 4 birds, train them to come to you, and then cut them into pieces and scatter them on different hilltops. Then call them back, and they will fly to you in haste. So you will know that Allah is Almighty and All-Wise. The example of those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah is that of a grain. And so important thing the Prophet ﷺ said, again, people are like, oh, I don't have charity to give. You do have charity to give. The Prophet ﷺ said, whenever you pay your bills, that's charity. When you go and buy food for your family, that's charity, right? So if you have the niyyah, when you go to work, that's charity. When you pay the bills at the beginning of the month, say, Ya Allah, every single bill that comes out of my account, Ya Allah, it's all sadaqah, right? So sadaqah, this all counts as sadaqah. The example of those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah is that of a grain that sprouts 7 ears, each bearing 100 grains. So 1 grain turned into 700 grains. Oh, not 700, 4,900 grains. So 7 times, sorry, no, 700, each bearing 100. So 700. So you spent $1 as in charity, or $1 paying for the fard, that you have to pay for the rent, you have to pay for the fuel, you have to pay for whatever it is. You did it for the sake of Allah. Allah turns out into 700. And Allah multiplies the reward even more. So now that 700 wasn't just 700, it was now something even greater. For Allah is all bountiful, all knowing. But what do we do instead? We go to work and we don't focus on what we're doing. So mashallah, we gave money in charity, but the main charity in life we forget about. So when we're fixing your car, like, dude, you're telling me 2,000, I don't have $2,000, man. $2,000 to fix my car, I don't have that. But that's $2,000 in sadaqah. We didn't look at it like that. On my PG&E bill, that was crazy. That's sadaqah. You have to buy more things for the family. That's called sadaqah. Whenever you buy things for the family, that's called sadaqah. But we lose focus and we waste the opportunity. And it wasn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't waste us, we wasted ourselves. Right? So on Judgment Day, you're like, bro, you had so much sadaqah to give, you didn't give it. What do you mean? When you go to work, you didn't have a niyyah. On the 12th hour, when your boss was saying, oh, there's even more work, you're like, as opposed to a sadaqah. If this is wajib, then it's sadaqah, right? If this is what you have to do, this is all sadaqah. It's great. It's not a problem, right? Just like the kid wakes up for the 8th time. Oh my God. It's a huge sadaqah. Right? I think on Judgment Day, helping other people. What does Allah SWT say? It says, Allah will be helping a person as long as somebody is helping somebody else. So you have an old person, you have kids in your house. This kid still doesn't wash his teeth properly and you have to help him. It's frustrating, yeah. But it's frustrating if we don't have a perspective. But if we do have a perspective, it will make sense. So there's so many opportunities we have in life, but what do? Our mentality changes them. The mentality changes it. And those who spend their wealth in the cause of Allah and do not follow their charity with reminders of generosity. This is called man, right? Hey, remember I lent you that money? Hey, Khalid, remember I did this for you? Remember this, right? This is haram. You can't do that. You can only do that with your kids. For example, when your kids is acting up and you're like, bro, don't give me attitude. Remember we took you here. Remember I did this for you. Remember I did this for you. Okay? Don't do that. I'm your dad. You have to respect me. You can't do that. This is your mom. Remember she gave birth to you? Right? You don't remember that, do you? You don't remember that those 9 months. You don't remember how many times she threw up. You don't remember all that pain. You don't know that. So this is cool. That's for the sake of helping somebody. You're reminding them for that. But normally, for your brothers, for your sisters, for other people in your life, you can't do that. You can't remind people, right? You don't do that. That's in reality, it's a type of bukhl. It's a type of cheapness, right? It's a type of cheapness. So you give for the sake of Allah, and you don't remind people. And if they lie about you, let them lie about them. Bro, you never ever help out ever. That's all. I don't defend myself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough. Right? Or hurtful words, they will get their reward from their Lord, and there will be no fear for them, nor will they grieve. Kind words, a few kind words and forgiveness are better than charity followed by injury. So this is a lot of many people function, how they function is they spend on others in order to get social standing. A lot of people do that. They want to be the person who's spending. I bought the iftar. So you guys all owe me and I'm suddenly now above you. Wrong. Right? So it'd be much better for you not to spend on the masjid, not to spend on the iftar. Don't do anything. Just be nice with your words. Right? Qawlun ma'rufun. A few nice words. Wa maghfirah. And forgive. He's easy to deal with. Right? And many people are like that. They're like, oh, but I paid this for your wedding. I did this for you. I did that for you. We visited you. You got to visit us. You can't do that. That's haram. You can't do that. Right? That's called man. Right? And so it's we can't it's better just to be a nice person and not to help that many people out than to help lots of people out financially and keep reminding them and use it as a way to harm them. And in reality, again, it's lack of tawheed. When I see that I didn't help you, Allah helped me through you, helped you through me. I was just a passage, right? So I'll give you an example. There was a brother, he came to the masjid once and he's asking for charity. Okay. And so he's asking for charity and nobody did anything. So I just stood up and said, brother, can I pay in installments? And he's like, yeah. So I said, fine, I'll commit to this. I didn't have the cash, but I said, I'll pay in installments because nobody else did it. Right. Maybe people were just quiet, inshallah, but So what happened anyway? I managed to borrow a sum of money and I gave him that sum of money. And then 2 months later, I got that sum. Somebody gave me a sum of money with $200 extra. So here's these poor people in Africa, or these kids in Africa. I didn't help them. He didn't help them. Allah helped them through me and through him. And I made money out of it. I just made $200, right? So as opposed to, hey, kids, remember when I gave you money and I couldn't do it? Remember? It's like, you're just a means that you just went through you. You're just a spoon. I'm not eating that. You're just a tool, right? So you see yourself, I'm just a tool, as opposed to saying that I helped you, right? And you owe it to me, right? And so, it's an attitude problem. So just being a bit humble and a bit nice is better than being Mr. Helpful, right? I dropped you off the airport, you owe me. I did this for you, owe me, right? Whatever it is, these kind of things you owe me, you owe Allah, right? Allah, we owe Allah. He is your God. He's when you owe. You don't owe anybody anything, right? So Allah is sufficient, most forbearing. Why do countries give charity to other countries? For the same reason. America does not help, I don't know, some countries in a famine. America doesn't say, oh, we're going to be nice. No country does that. No country says we're going to be nice. The country says, we know that if we help you now, tomorrow we can pull strings, right? That is a disgusting way to behave. That's a low way to behave. You want to help somebody with no strings attached. And many people, there's lots of strings attached. If you borrow money from them, it's going to go on forever, right? They're going to say, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? Why riba is haram? You can't do that, right? May Allah protect us. says, "O believers, do not waste the charity with reminders of generosity or hurtful words, like those who donate their wealth just to show off and do not believe in Allah or in the last day." Right? Their example is that of a hard, barren rock covered with a thin layer of soil hit by a strong wind, rain. So this rock, the rain comes down, there's not enough earth to absorb the water. So what happens? The rain comes down, washes off the earth, and nothing grows, leaving it so the good comes down, but it doesn't go anywhere, right? Such people are unable to preserve the reward of their charity. Allah does not guide such disbelieving people. And the example of those who donate their wealth, seeking Allah's pleasure. So again, key thing, on Eid, you spent money you couldn't afford, and then people were rude to you, right? You bought something for your wife and she hurt your feelings. You bought something for your kids and she hurt your feelings. You did something for your husband. You gave, for example, sadaqah to your husband. Your husband cannot make enough, can't get by, so you're helping on a monthly basis. And then he breaks your heart. You're like, what was the point? A good question, sister. What was the point? Because if you did it for your husband is not the creator. But if you did it for Allah, it's fine. So don't do things for people. Do things for Allah. If you're going to forgive somebody, forgive for the sake of Allah. If you're going to give it for the sake of Allah. Because then you've cashed in already. Otherwise, it's a waste. What's the best that's going to happen? You spent $1 million helping somebody out, and they're going to be thankful their whole life and be nice to them. That's only one life. But you do $1 for the sake of Allah, that's forever. So, we have to be mantiqi, you have to understand a relationship with Allah. Tawheed, Allah is the one I deal with. I don't work for my manager, I work for Allah. I'm not saying sorry to my wife or saying sorry to my kids or saying sorry to my parents. I'm saying sorry to Allah. I'm just talking to Allah. Ma'ruf al-Karhi, he said that. He said, for 40 years, I've been speaking to people. People have been thinking that I'm speaking to them, but I'm just talking to Allah, not talking to anybody else. Right? So he's in a shop, he's got this, he needs that, etc. Right? When you're stroking a cat, you're saying, "Oh Allah, I love your creatures, and I'm nice to your creatures." When you see a child, you say, "Alhamdulillah, Allah's created something beautiful that made me happy, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a means for me to do good deeds after I die." As opposed to your child, because that child is going to die before you or after you. So either you're going to bury that child or they're going to bury you, one of the two. So don't invest in things that are disappearing in your hands, right? It's like somebody is, imagine, for example, somebody has an hourglass, the hourglass you turn over, and he's just crying, crying the whole time. He's like, "Why are you crying?" "My time keeps disappearing." It's going to disappear. That is the nature of the hourglass. It's going to be in 5 seconds. It's going to be in 5 hours. Make it 500 years. It's the same. So the believer says, this is every single thing on face of earth is disappearing in your hands. Your wealth, your health, your this, your that. So you have to turn it into good deeds. How can you turn your kids into good deeds? How can you turn your free time into good deeds? Your whatever it is you have. That's all. And so what is it? The example of those who donate their wealth, seeking Allah's pleasure and believing the reward is certain, is that of a garden on a fertile hill. So you had the rain comes down, and the hill, there's lots of earth and good earth. The rain comes down. So when heavy rain falls, it yields up twice its normal produce because it can absorb. It's like a sponge, and it absorbs the water. And if it's just a light drizzle, even if there's a small amount, it's still good. So Allah give an example: the bad earth, the rock and the bad earth versus the good earth. So it doesn't matter about how much rain comes down. Oh, I don't have opportunities. Every single human being has a 24-hour opportunity. Even while I'm sleeping, yes, you went to sleep for the sake of Allah. Right? You went to sleep for the sake of Allah. For the sake of Allah, I didn't go to the masjid because I was very, very tired. For the sake of Allah, I ate more food than I had to because I was very, very hungry. For the sake of Allah, I don't know, whatever you did for the sake of Allah is with you. You say, I don't have opportunities. I can't memorize. If you have a niyyah, say, "Ya Allah, if I could, I would memorize the whole Quran and all Sahih Hadith and Bukhari, etc. I would do it." Okay, then you have the ajr. But don't say that's your niyyah when you're on TikTok for 2 hours, because that means you're not working hard. Because Bukhari and these people, they worked hard, right? Imam Ahmad was seen running down the street. They're like, "What are you doing? You're like your kid?" He said, "No, I haven't finished yet." He's a busy person. Like he's like this nonstop, right? A person who's busy. So the point is, every single one of us, we have infinite opportunities, and what do? We sell those infinite opportunities for very little. You either sell it for nothing as a kafir, or you sell it for very little, right? It's like, but you're telling me that if I'm the worst Muslim, I'm the worst Muslim, I'm going to get 10 times planet Earth. So yeah, I know. But that's nothing compared to what you could get. The Prophet ﷺ said one person in Jannah compared to another person in Jannah will be what? It's like one looking at the stars. So it's a galaxy away. A galaxy away. It's like, yeah, what you lost out on though. And let's find okay, let's just finish inshallah on 269 inshallah. So it says, would any of you wish to have a garden with palm trees, grapevines, and all kinds of fruits with rivers flowing underneath? And as they grow very old with dependent children, a fiery whirlwind hits the garden, burning it all up. So would you like to have all this potential and it comes to nothing? No. This is how Allah makes his revelations clear to you, so perhaps you will reflect. O believers, donate from what you have earned and of what we have produced for you from the earth. Do not pick out worthless things for donation. So is it okay to give away things that are worthless? Yes. But that's all you give away. You give away things that nobody else would want, right? Which you yourselves would only accept with closed eyes. And know that Allah is self-sufficient, praiseworthy. The devil threatens you with the prospect of poverty. This is the key thing. What's going to happen to me? If I wear hijab, I'll lose out. If I pray, I'll lose out. If I don't get involved in riba, I'll lose out. That's classic. Why do people buy a house with riba? That reason. Bro, if I keep renting, I'm going to be poor. So I'm going to miss out. He has a house, they have a house, I don't have a house. Khalas, I'll just do it. Right? That's what it is. The fear of poverty, the fear of missing out. Right? Every Muslim country, the same thing. If I don't join hands with the kuffar, we're going to be poor. Right? So we have to change and we have to basically apply the deen 50-50, make religion only for the mosques and make everything else a kufr system. That's what it is. The devil threatens you with poverty and bids you to shameful deeds of stinginess, while Allah promises you forgiveness and great bounties from Him. And Allah is all bountiful, all knowing. Allah grants wisdom. That will stop there, inshallah. That's the okay. No, we'll keep going. So, okay, we're going to come to interest in a second, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, we'll stop there. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka.